Meet 6-year-old Emma WELP.
I got this at Disney World, and his name is Patch.
She is very funny. She's very physical. She's all over the place, but in a good way.
Emma's no stranger to the WMBD WYCZ family. Over the years, making show appearances with her twin sister Abby and their dad, our own Mark WELP.
What's your name?
Emma.
She's a rule follower. She's a good friend.
These are the precious moments Mark and his wife Laura are using to propel their family forward in the midst of a very challenging journey. Emma has cancer.
It just came out of nowhere.
Wild Harvest Honey Farm is now a 5th-generation family business.
We really just wanted to bring life back to the farm in a way that not only helped the environment but honored him as well.
Amber and her sister Alicia Bunting are the co-owners, mixing science and education to promote supporting the local beekeeping industry. But what really goes into the collecting of these vats, buckets, and ultimately bottles of sweet honey? Well, we faced our fears and suited up, all to see the action.
It's a mess.
It's been more than a week since Hurricane Matthew hit, but hundreds of folks who live in the Westlake apartments are still upset over what's been going on since the storm. They say management isn't doing enough to fix the flood-damaged units, many of which they say still have water and mold and are uninhabitable units. One of those frustrated people is Edna Quarterman.
I found mold in my bathroom, and it came from the bathroom into the front room. It got halfway up the sofa.
Edna has breathing complications, so she and her great-grandson Dominique sit outside as much as possible to avoid being indoors. Edna can't afford a more expensive place to live, and she says officials haven't extended housing support to her. So I made some calls, a lot of them, and there's no clear-cut answer about whose job it is to help Westlake tenants. Part of the reason is because Westlake Apartments is part of unincorporated Chatham County, so the city of Savannah says it has no jurisdiction. They say it falls under the governance of the Chatham County Board of Commissioners. But when I called the county office, they say the apartment is on private property, so it's up to the property owners to take action. The Aspen Company owns Westlake Apartments, but a spokesperson wasn't available to comment this evening. Westlake tenants say they just want a healthy environment to live.
I want a better property for us to live in, not only for me, for people who really need it.
I'm told tomorrow morning there is supposed to be a conference call involving the property owners, FEMA, and Housing Urban Development. During that call, they're supposed to be discussing what the future holds for this complex.
I was basically like picturing my own murder scene.
Tyler Strudgeon, a junior at Georgia Southern University, says he was asleep in his Robin Hood Trail home when he was brutally attacked early Sunday morning.
The next thing I know, I'm on the floor, and I'm getting beat pretty much by guns.
Tyler says 2 unknown men kicked in his door, and over the course of 2 hours, he says he was beaten, robbed, kidnapped, and held at gunpoint.
I was pretty out of it. I lost a lot of blood at that point.
Tyler says he was forced to drive from this ATM to the woods next to a nearby apartment complex. Tyler says while in the dark woods, afraid for his life, he started praying aloud, and the men ran off. Andy Anderson is still cleaning up his Wilmington Island property after Hurricane Irma, but some unwelcome guests are making that task a little bit harder.
Friday night, when my wife got in the pool and said that insects were biting her. So when I got the light out and checked, they really weren't insects.
Anderson says there were dozens of wharf crabs stuck at the bottom of his pool, and he isn't the only one in the area dealing with the crabby intrusion. Some say the influx of tiny crabs is a big pain, but marine educator John Crawfish Crawford says it's just the natural way of life after a major storm.
This storm we just had, we had very high tide. It pushed marsh wrack way inland, and so these squareback or wharf crabs, as they're called, floated in with the marsh, and then they're looking for a place to hide.
As 6-year-old Jenna Peltier sifts through her mounds of stuffed animals, she thinks about some of the victims of Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and now Maria that aren't as fortunate to have what she has.
I just heard it on the radio. It said thousands of people are homeless when we were traveling back from Hurricane Irma, and I said, could we please help them?
Jenna's mother, Christina, says that's when they started to brainstorm ideas.
At first we told her we could say some prayers, and she said, well, can I donate stuffed animals?
After spreading the word on Facebook, Jenna's cause took off. Stuffed animals started coming in from families, businesses, and organizations across the country.
If they feel like they're lonely, they have something to cuddle with.
From motion sensors to cameras and even Wii Soccer, this gym-turned-research lab at Georgia Southern University is breaking ground when it comes to studying concussions.
Specifically, we look at ocular motor control, how that plays a role in the initial diagnosis, and then also how that plays into a role of recovery and how to track that recovery.
The school's lab is one of very few in the country, and Dr. Nicholas Murray and Dr. Barry Minkassi are spearheading the research. The research project is one that Emily Duncan, a concussion patient, is grateful for, especially after getting hit in the head with a softball last Wednesday.
It came and hit me in the back of the head. I heard it, and the person next to me was kind of like, did you get hit? And I was like, I don't know, I think so. I didn't black out.
But she did experience headaches, nausea, dizziness, and low energy levels. So an athletic trainer referred her to this research lab where she's been undergoing a series of motor and visual tests to track her recovery.